So I'd suggest that women are encouraged to seek opportunities in the media. There should be training amongst journalists to discourage the stereotype and the patriarchal way in which news is presently researched and presented.
We need both sides of the stories. We need both sides of these opinions. And we need to change the way we report on women issues. And the only way to do that is get these experts in the room.
I mean, there are tons of men who don't prioritize women issues, not because they don't want to, but because they don't know any better. I mean, growing up, that's all they know. So that was factored into a lot of things. I mean, families, it's okay for them to play a role and let their male children know that, look, there's actually nothing wrong in ensuring that things go in a certain way.
So here we have a law in Kaduna that says all children must be educated up to basic education, which means 6 years of primary and 3 years of junior secondary school. And there's legislation there to prosecute parents or caregivers that don't do that. So it keeps at least the women, the girls in school and provides them with some skills.
And so for us, solidarity is really providing more capital to women where we can, such that they then go on to be not only role models, but hopefully become investors themselves. And again, we don't do this, we're not doing this because we are deploying risk capital that has to deliver a return. We're not doing this because we like the sound of it and because we want to get a hashtag. And so we're not reducing our criteria in any way because you really don't have to.
There is absolutely no empirical evidence that men are likely to be better in doing some work than women. No, I'm convinced about that, both from my experience growing up and my working experience.
Let's improve maternity policies. I know that we're talking about having paternity leave, but maternity leave too is still not as adequate as it should be. And so that's an issue we still have to try to make sure we're solving. If you are leading a company and you have women working for you, you have to think about if a woman has kids, young kids, and sometimes we know that, the plans you've made don't fall through sometimes. Provide that ecosystem, that environment, creches, places where they can have like a feel safe to bring the kids to a working environment that also takes care of their kids. So for example, at 54 we have a creche, in the office for the mothers amongst us to bring their kids. But if we begin to adapt work such that it makes it easier, not entirely possible, but easier for women to balance both, then we will see more women making that transition.
So you should be deliberate in that sense to also say, I want to employ perhaps even more women in certain fields, in certain areas of the public sector, because we have a particular target in mind. And it's not saying that you're doing that at the detriment of the development of their male colleagues. No.
Back to this thing about who's the primary caregiver in a family or who's responsible for the kids, all of those fundamental things which keep women tied back, I think are changing because young people are coming out and they're living outside of those stereotypes and those gender norms. And we need to show that actually it's okay for a man to earn less than his wife.
We can be intentional about what we invest in, investing in women social entrepreneurs, and let's use this as an opportunity to actually change cultures.
So not only do we have to actively recognize the importance of women being in leadership, we need to support those who are there so that they can continue to work while we actually drive more women and support women to get into those leadership positions.
We need to improve access to women to education for improving the next generation access to healthcare.
Primary healthcare should be the basis of our health system. And if we did that, we'll be meeting the needs of women, we'll be meeting the needs of children and the more vulnerable.
Women need to make informed policy decisions so that to engage a gender-friendly education opportunity for girls and men. which include conditional cash transfer at rural area, empowering family to allow the girl child not to end the hours into street hawking, to be more of school hours, so that we can produce sound education and girl child that can become a future doctor, competent, that can resolve the dispute of inequality in healthcare.
Until we start acknowledging in-country disparities and we start talking about the specific role of gender-responsive health systems and health response within a health security context, we're never going to reach gender equality or even a good healthcare response in any kind of future pandemic.
Nigeria must, across all states, enforce compulsory secondary school education, especially for girls, and where possible, make it free, with the right amenities and security in place.
Nigeria, being very delayed in its demographic transition, if maybe by some policy intervention can focus on its adolescent girls now, that might even give it a huge advantage and allow it to catch up on the kind of delays it has had over the last couple of years.
The demographic transition means reducing child mortality and reducing fertility. That is really the necessary condition.